Welcome to this SME Media and AWS Partner Success Series webinar. We're joined today by General Grind and MachineMetrics to discuss machine monitoring, driving bottom line impact with real-time visibility and automation. Hello, I'm your host, Alan Rooks, Editor-in-Chief of Manufacturing Engineering Magazine, which is published by SME Media. I'd like to first introduce the presenters for today's webinar. Joseph Rossing, Business Development Lead, Discrete Manufacturing Solutions, or AWS. Blake Bieri, Chief Operating Officer at General Grind, a family-owned corporation that manufactures machine parts. And Graham Immerman, Vice President of Marketing at MachineMetrics, an industrial IoT platform for machines. During the presentation, you'll be able to ask questions using the Q&A box that appears at the right-hand side of your screen. Time permitting, your questions will be answered following the presentation. If time runs out before we can get to all the questions, we will make sure the answers are emailed to you. We could run long and go past the top of the hour. If we do, we hope you can remain with us. If you can't, you'll receive an email later telling you how you can view the entire presentation. And if you experience any audio or visual difficulty during the live presentation, please let us know via the Q&A app. Also, if you have any questions about other aspects of our webinars, please email me at arooks@sme.org. So let's begin. After launching a corporate initiative around continuous improvement, General recognized an urgent need to increase throughput for their production equipment. To do so required gaining full control over their machine and operational data to reduce downtime, identify production bottlenecks, and improve their reaction time to issues on the factory floor. The team at General Grind partnered with MachineMetrics as the software foundation for this initiative and implemented the solution on 50 high-priority machines to start with. General Grind gained the ability to quickly visualize and analyze machine health and production data across their factory floor and gained nearly 7,000 hours per year of additional capacity. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Joseph.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I'm just getting to the lead slide here. All right, so thanks for the introduction. So in manufacturing, we've been talking about data for a number of years now and working towards how we can leverage that increasing availability and volume of data to achieve outcomes faster. And increasing the speed at which manufacturers can achieve new outcomes is the ability to experiment, deploy, and scale quickly using cloud-based solutions, which support data being leveraged really across the enterprise to enable new capabilities such as digitally executed manufacturing, products as a service, connected products, and improved sustainability. And so as mentioned earlier today, we're excited to focus on a great example of how data has enabled a digital manufacturing use case, specifically the utilization improvements at General Grind and Machine, along with our partner MachineMetrics. Now, another trend that we've been seeing at AWS as we work with manufacturers of all sizes and all over the world is that we recognize that the ability to deploy hybrid on-prem cloud architectures is really key to driving the Industry 4.0 initiatives or digital manufacturing across the enterprise. Now, regardless of your priority use cases, some of which you might see there on the left side, AWS and our partner network work with you to implement the right hybrid strategy that balances what you can run at the edge versus in the cloud, how to integrate and automate AI/ML capabilities into existing processes and workflows in the plant, and ultimately how to do so in a way that is cost-effective, scales across your manufacturing footprint, and grows with your business. Now, we've been doing this through an initiative that we call AWS for Industrial. And this is where we're focusing on digitizing, monitoring, and optimizing industrial operations. And we're doing this by uniting our AWS services and solution capabilities with those of our partners, in addition to developing and launching purpose-built industrial services that in particular are focused on how to make it simpler or easier to adopt machine learning capabilities on the shop floor. And then finally, helping you get connected, whether you're operating a brand new facility or decades-old equipment. And so really then the question becomes, why now? Or why are manufacturers engaging with AWS and our partners now to improve productivity through cloud solutions? Well, we oftentimes at AWS are finding that customers are coming to us looking for examples of how AWS.com has gone about adopting Industry 4.0 technologies and automating across our fulfillment centers and our supply chain processes, and how then the manufacturer can leverage some of the capability in our purpose-built industrial services to accelerate their own journey. And what manufacturers are finding is that as they're able to migrate to the cloud solutions, this becomes key for them because it allows you to leverage your highly valuable teams and subject matter experts to focus really on what they do best, and that's innovating and driving continuous improvement, instead of focusing on that undifferentiated heavy lifting of managing the IT infrastructure, the data centers, and the data management itself for the on-premises systems that underpin those processes. And so the cloud and AWS is enabling you to really implement Industry 4.0 use cases quickly, securely, and at scale. We provide agility to experiment at low risk, do that at a lower total cost. We're allowing customers to trade that capital expense for variable expense and only pay for the IT services that they consume. We're providing the elasticity that allows you to scale up and down based on your business requirements. And then ultimately that ability to deploy globally in minutes and scale faster. So together with our partner network, I'll advance these here. Together with our partner network, we're able to deliver that increased value faster to our manufacturers. So MachineMetrics is joining us today as a great partner who accelerates deployment time for priority use cases with a really fast time to value and an easy to use application with specific subject matter expertise. And so together we've been able to deliver bottom line results with data, analytics, and increasingly automated workflows at scale. And very excited to have MachineMetrics come on and talk about their solution, as well as give the specific example today also through our interview. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Graham from MachineMetrics.
Thanks, Joe. And for those of you who can't tell, I am here joined by my loving cat, and we're working from home still during the COVID pandemic, which has been a long and very interesting year. And Joe, just to reiterate something that you said, because I found it really insightful. Manufacturers like General Grind and Machine, and this is something we'll find today, don't have the time or nor necessarily even the internal resources to rebuild the wheel entirely from scratch. The companies need results that go right to the bottom line starting from day one. And we at MachineMetrics apply the same logic to our own operation. So by leveraging powerful AWS services as the foundation for MachineMetrics platform, from data storage and hosting to various other elements of the AWS architecture and ecosystem. This allows our team to accelerate that value attainment for our customers. And by focusing our efforts on development and innovation around our own product, we can continue to deliver the most secure, high-performing, resilient, scalable platform for machine data collection, monitoring, and analytics within the industry. So, with that said, because I assume people are wondering, well, why MachineMetrics and why you're here with AWS? So a bit about us. For today's manufacturers, we've found that it's just never been more important to deliver the best product as efficiently as possible. And continuous improvement in manufacturing begins with capturing insights from the heart of your operations, which specifically are the machine assets that make these products and the people that run those machines. And these machines are worth, sometimes hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars and produce more data, per millisecond than virtually any other asset on the planet. Yet this data is not being captured or analyzed to improve efficiency, despite all of the innovations that we hear today in Industry 4.0 and robotics and automation. The simple fact is that the inefficiencies that exist at the machine level are the lowest hanging fruit and the catalyst for driving digital transformation across the organization. So MachineMetrics has made this very easy. So we've developed an intuitive and flexible machine data collection, monitoring, and analytics platform that easily collects and analyzes data from virtually any piece of manufacturing equipment to deliver powerful, actionable insights and automations for factory workers in a matter of minutes, which can drive decisions from anywhere in the world at any time that go right to the bottom line starting day one. And there's three kind of pieces of our platform that you see here. We have the data collection, getting the data. You have the centralization of all that data in one place, and then you have the applications layer, right? How do you take that data and transform it from just data and insights into actual actionability and value realization of the factory floor? And I'll walk you through each of those steps momentarily. But today, for those of us who've been with us, since the beginning, we've been working with SME for years. I was employee number 11 here at MachineMetrics. We've grown significantly in those years. We're now well over 50 people, and we have hundreds of manufacturers that have connected thousands of machines to our platform across global factories, anywhere from mom and pop job shops to companies like General Grind and Machine to some of the largest manufacturing companies in the world. And these companies are leveraging our plug and play machine data collection, monitoring, and analytics to optimize their shop floor productivity, increase their equipment utilization, and drive automations across their organizations using data from their machines. So how does it all work? Well, the foundation of our platform begins really with getting the data from these machines, something that is, for anyone who has ever tried this, and AWS can attest to this, really freaking hard. MachineMetrics largely gathers data directly from the control of these assets, bypassing the need for additional sensors and the complications involved with the installation of those to provide a scalable solution that can be self-installed by our customers. And to connect one of our edge devices, which can connect to virtually any machine through the Ethernet port, or even a network of up to 50, 75 machines, can take less than 20 minutes and enable consumable machine data and insights in just a matter of minutes. And this platform, which runs on the hardware, is software, right? And it has all these adapters built in that unlock, map out, collect, and standardize all these data points that exist on your machines, right? These machines, as I said previously, have, they produce thousands of data points every millisecond, from internal sensors to machine statuses to modes, alarms, overrides, loads, feeds, speeds, temperatures, rotor velocity, diagnostic PMC parameters, you name it, right? And to do that, we support plug and play connectivity with MT Connect, Fanuc Focus, OPC UA, Umadi, Mitsubishi, Citizen, Haas, Heidenheim, Siemens, Ethernet IP, Modbus TCP. Those are things you're familiar with. Our Edge platform also supports digital and analog I/O hardware and sensors. So we can connect your legacy machines on the factory floor or add additional data points to the PLC or control to integrate even the most challenging equipment. And while this sounds all really complicated, we've made it all really easy. It's all packaged up on this inexpensive hardware device, which you see on the screen. It's a little green box. That's what our customers call it. That can plug and play into your machine and unlock that data securely and push it into our platform through Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or even cellular communication. And once that data is in the platform, this is kind of where the magic happens. The data is then pushed into the cloud. We have built an infrastructure on AWS, which was designed specifically to ingest massive amounts of data, which is critical to ensuring your data's security and reliability and accessibility securely from anywhere, anytime, right? We also layer operational data on top of that machine data when, for example, the machine doesn't always tell you everything that's going on. So we have an operator interface that allows your operators to add additional context to the machine, so you can understand what is happening all the time on the factory floor. And our platform, which is again built in AWS, ensures that all data is gathered and processed in one central location. where it can be remotely accessed by any employee from anywhere, anytime. And we gave a recent webinar on just, hey, remote data access, right? And this is critical in times like this past year. Many of our customers have been able to operate their factory floors remotely without necessarily having to be on site, which is, as you can imagine, highly important during this period. Also, within our data platform, this is where our analytics engine will identify patterns in the machine performance and the health of your assets. And this can initiate actions, whether it be through integrations with our systems or through workflows that you can build out yourselves easily within the system. Now, this is what most people know us for, which is our out-of-the-box applications. And these out-of-the-box apps, it's like when you buy a computer for the first time, right? No one expects you to rebuild Internet Explorer or Chrome from scratch, right? And we provide dozens of out-of-the-box applications that can deliver use cases to drive immediate value for your factory. Real-time dashboards, historical reporting, rules-based workflows, text email notification systems, all of which are just designed so your factory workers can start taking action on that data without being a data scientist, right? We're democratizing that data to everybody within the factory. But you can also build your own applications on top of MachineMetrics, or which I think is the future, and we'll talk about this a bit more, seamlessly integrating our platform with your other factory systems to automate the data and insights collected with across your digital factory. And this is, our vision at MachineMetrics is that, when you want to drive, what's happening and insights on your data, we deliver these use cases to your factory workers out of the box. But for many of these factories, you're looking to automate, additional actions from that data. So to unlock the full potential of the digital factory, our platform seamlessly integrates those insights with your other factory floor systems, anywhere from product design to production to quality to maintenance and logistics. And I'll give a couple examples that our customers are using, real-time machine condition and alarm data to trigger their CMMS systems, or integrating our data from their ERP into MachineMetrics and back and forth between those two systems, or sending emails through Gmail, or building their own applications through Power BI, or triggering work instructions through VKS. And in doing so, we can deliver not just initial but continuous value for any manufacturer from day one all the way through decades into their implementation. And as you build your factory, right, the more and more automation that can exist, the more opportunities that there are for improvement. And with MachineMetrics, you can harness that machine data digital thread to drive endless automations that digitize other factory processes. And in doing so, we can become an operating system for the autonomous factory of the future. So I'm going to pause there and move on to the nitty gritty here, which is our live interview with Blake Bieri. Blake, welcome to the webinar. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Graham. Glad to be here.
As I choke on myself. So Blake, firstly, we are truly glad to have you here. You guys are an amazing user of the platform, but not just an amazing user of the platform, but incredible manufacturer who's taking continuous improvement and driven it all the way through core values. So I'd love for you just to tell me a bit about these core values. You said that in our previous interview they relate a lot to why you've done a lot of what you've done so far. So would you mind just kind of like walking us through these core values and relating them to how they drive your continuous improvement?
Yeah, definitely, Graham. So these are the, I think they should be on the screen there, but yeah, we have our Ggm Core Values. And this right here lists what our core values are and exactly the order that we place them. So as order of precedence. So obviously the most important thing to us is our people. Without people, you have nothing. So our first one is embracing our people, and You can read right there, but we say by creating a culture inspired by transparency, trust, honesty, ethics, and leadership. You know, and then moving down from there, we engage our business partners. So by being accountable, committed, respectful to our customers, our suppliers, and our service providers. And then supporting our community. This is a big one to us. It's very, very important to us to make sure we continue supporting our community that we all work in, whether it's by charitable donations of our time or our resources to the community that we live and work in. And then the last one is sustaining our business, and do that by following our diversification strategy to gain a business advantage while investing in our people, our business partners, and our community, sustaining the future of our company. And if you do all those things, at the end of the day, you'll make good parts on time. That's kind of our saying that we try to follow around here. If you ask anybody around here, they've heard it a million times. It sounds simple, but it's not a simple thing to do. And MachineMetrics has definitely been a huge help for us to get even better at doing that.
So, Blake, tell me a bit about General Grind and Machine. I obviously know all about you guys because we work together, but would you give us just like a quick introduction to who you guys are, what you do, what verticals you serve, anything around that would be just awesome.
Yeah. So to talk a little bit about GGM, so it was started in 1976, so we've been around for about 45 years, so quite a long while anyway. So when we started, it was just two brothers and their mother, and it was just a 3-person operation, and it actually was in a garage that they had, just a small 2-car garage, and the company just started out as just a small centerless grinding facility, and for the first 20 years, the company stayed that way, just very basic, just providing the single service. And then after that point, the company really excelled in getting into other areas to really turn ourselves into a full service provider. And then, from there, we branched out. We have a lot of customers who, they might want to send out an entire grouping of products. And we might not actually manufacture those in-house, but we built teams to be able to manage entire product lines for our customers, which obviously is an advantage to all of them, because then obviously they have one person they need to call for any of their needs. So we've really, over the years, we've really expanded, really grown. And but then, like I said, it's all based back off of those core values, and all of our decisions are, we always go back to, does this fit our core values?
That's fantastic. And let's talk about that in terms of, MachineMetrics, right? So, obviously you guys are forward-thinking company. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with you guys, and, you guys clearly are ahead of the game when it comes to, certain strategies and implementations when it comes down to it. And I'm really interested in learning, for example, how that relates to, say, your initial core value around, embracing your people. How does that relate to, why you, started using MachineMetrics in the first place?
Well, anybody out there who has a manufacturing company like we do, the hardest thing is to figure out what's the limiting factor. What is holding back any of your team members, and that's the fantastic thing about MachineMetrics is, if the machine is not performing to what the standard is, MachineMetrics asks the operator, what's going on? What's the cause of us not being able to meet whatever the standard may be? And then that gives those team members the ability to put that information out there, raise their hand, and then of course MachineMetrics collects all that data. And a lot of times, obviously, it's a fast-paced world out there, so you might have a piece of equipment that consistently has the same issue, and when the issue is going on, it might be something minor, but in the grand scheme of things, if that issue continues to happen enough, it starts to become a big issue and no longer a minor issue. One of our first examples that we had on that was the very first machine that we put this software on, the machine was running, and we realized that it had just a really simple alarm that kept popping up, and it was just a machine lube fault alarm, where all the operator has to do, you just have to hit reset, and you hit go, and it runs again. And it's just random when it would come up. Well, after having about a month's worth of data on there, this little alarm that we thought was nothing turned into multiple days of lost time. And before you have MachineMetrics, you don't have a good way of tracking that kind of data. And so like I said, it's really a tool for the team members to voice what's going on and tell everyone in the company what's happening at their machine.
That's really interesting. And so I see how, initially in your implementation, right, it was, you were in many ways like democratizing that data, right, to your various employees. I know I like to go back to that term, but it's, you're empowering your employees with data, right? They don't have to be data scientists, right, to start solving their own problems. What about in relation to your second core value, right? I love this one, by engaging our business partners, by being accountable, committed, respectful to our customers, our suppliers. Was there anything related to this that MachineMetrics, when that you were looking to solve initially, and how did it help you accomplish this?
Yeah, that's a good question, Drew. So where MachineMetrics really fit in on this one was when. I obviously how it is out there, you'll always have some point in time where some sort of information is needed right away. And you need to know exactly where that's at in the process, how it's running at that time. And with MachineMetrics, you have live data. It's always accessible. You always know exactly what's going on at every single work center and just where they're at with that product line. You can always, before with our data, we always had the data, but it wasn't live and on the spot. So you were more reactive versus proactive, where with MachineMetrics, we're able to be very proactive with our customers and our suppliers as well. So it's really helped with that too.
Yeah, and you can imagine that that's a big advantage, especially as you supply, right, to be able to have the data to essentially prove that you're best at what you do, right? Hold yourselves accountable. I can definitely see that being extremely valuable in it. In regards to I love this one because we talk a lot about supporting our community here. MachineMetrics. We do a lot of various things within our community to try to support the advancement of technology and people within the manufacturing world. Tell me about how this relates to this presentation today.
Yeah, so with supporting our community, like we said in our core value there, we do this by either charitably donating our time or our resources, which can be our team members. It can be, charitable contribution financially. It can be any of those things. And with MachineMetrics, obviously, you know exactly what's going on, where you might have the capacity that you can free up those resources to help your community. I mean, when I say help our community, so our business is in a farming community. So it can even be to where we have, we help certain farmers out. Let's say that they're in harvest season and they have something that breaks down and, they can't get that part right away. We're able to help them out if we need to get them a part, whatever they're needing, just to reverse engineer it. But with MachineMetrics, obviously, you can figure out where you have excess time at.
Excellent. Very, very cool. And just to speak to this last one, right? I can see this obviously, relating to all of them, but if you'd like to speak to this last core value and how, how it relates at least to, having data, and using new technology.
On the sustaining our business portion. So here again, like I said there, it says by following our diversification strategies to gain a business advantage. So it's just such a great tool. In sustaining our business, it really helps us with our future, with our growth plans. Us as a company in our last 20 years of service, we've doubled our size every 10 years. And right now we're on the same trajectory in the next 10 years by 2030. And without MachineMetrics, it would really be a lot to manage. So MachineMetrics helps us understand what's going on in our shop better, where we can improve, how we can take on the new business, the increased capacity that we will be required to handle all that volume.
Excellent. I'm going to move on to our next slide here. So when you guys started, firstly, we talked about this, you guys had initial implementation of MachineMetrics, right? Tell us about what that was like. What was that initial implementation timeframe like, and what was the experience? From a business wise, from a cultural side. What was that like for you guys?
Yes, that's a good question too. And I seen in the Q&A portion, it looked like Alan had asked a similar question about that. And I love that question. So for us, we had those same kind of questions like Alan's watching there. He had mentioned when you install MachineMetrics, did you get any resistance from I guess I would call it your seasoned employees or from any other employees about the machines being monitored? And you would think naturally that that's the way that you would go. But when you sell it to your team as a resource for them, and that's all that it's for, and if you go back to our information that we just talked about a little bit ago, just our core values, it's easy to tell our teammates exactly what we're doing with the MachineMetrics and why it's there. It's a resource for them to be able to tell us what's going on, what's holding them back from their potential that they have. And as soon as we talked about that, and we continue to preach that every day to everybody, it's made it easy. It's made it easy.
That's awesome. And so, for me, I have so many questions about your implementation, but I figure, Blake, it's possible that maybe if you're willing to, you guys did an amazing job putting together just some slides that, kind of show the audience really how you guys approach using this data to drive in continuous improvement. I can either click through them from my side, or if you'd like to, you can actually use the arrows and click through them directly yourself. But I was wondering maybe if you could kind of share with us, what that story looks like and how you guys go about leveraging data from your operations to drive continuous improvement.
Yeah. So I'll try to think I have it now. So it should be the current state of MachineMetrics. Is that what's up there right now, Graham?
Exactly.
What's that?
Yeah, spot on.
Okay, so just the current state of MachineMetrics. So this data is actually pulled from February 1 through February 28, and it says we have 42 edge devices connected, 25 tablets connected. That's actually been increased now, so we actually have 78 machines that are running tablets. So we did the first 25, and that was we picked our certain work centers that we wanted, that we thought we could learn the most from, and we did the first 25 there, and we actually had MachineMetrics come in and help us with the installs, and they were great to work with. They worked with our team members here and trained us on the things that we didn't know as far as how to install them, and helped us get up and running on that. And then from there, we put together a team that managed all of the data, collected all the data, put it into a format like you're going to see on here. And then from that data, it was pretty easy to decide when and how many more tablets to add. So it was a slam dunk for us, really.
And they're using those tablets. Could you talk obviously we have the real-time visualizations. There's a number of applications that come with the system. Can you tell me a bit about how your team uses the tablets?
Yeah, so we actually, those tablets, if not everyone here knows that, so the tablets, one of the easiest things about them is that they have green and a red color on them. And what green means is that you're making whatever the standard rate is at that work center, you're making that. If it's red, you're not making that. Obviously, there's adjustments you can make in there for the different percentage up or down either way on both ends of that spectrum. But when you have a screen that's bright red or bright green, it's pretty easy to figure out that there's some sort of a problem going on. And then from the operator's standpoint, they have that tablet there. And when the machine sits for however much time that your team decides is unacceptable, the machine's going to ask the operator, what is the reason for this downtime? And then you have a list of options of what to pick as causing the downtime. And then from there, that's where you really start to learn about what's going on, because you can start collecting the data and you figure out what the biggest reasons are that are causing your downtime at the machine during production runs. And it can be any number of things. It can be machine breakdown. It could be just not staffed. It can be anything. So that's more or less how we use those tablets. It's the operator's resource.
Got it. Cool. Forgive me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I knew you were going through your slides.
No, that's fine. So then the setup summary. So on the setup summary, this is kind of just a breakdown of where we were at in February. So the first line there's showing for that month, that February 1 through 28, setups account for roughly 212 hours of non-production, with 126 setups happening on 20 different machines that the data was pulled from. The previous month, there was 215 hours and 103 occurrences. So from there, you go down, and then we have an average expected setup time, which was 66 minutes per setup. The previous month, the average expected was 64 minutes per setup. The average actual was 101 versus 66. The previous month was 125 versus 64. So what you see there, the average difference between the expected and what the actual was is 35 minutes. The previous month was 65 minutes. And we've actually, since that point, every month this has went down. And we actually were able to get that down. We were within 9 minutes of the expected time last month. So we're getting really close to actually hitting the expected time. And the great part about it is obviously data is great. But if you don't do anything with the data or figure out ways to use the data, it's useless. But with this data, we were able to figure out what was causing the setups to not happen on time. So we were pretty excited to see those results happen.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's an incredible reduction percentage-wise in time.
So with this setups comparison page here, the graphs, you can see that we were fairly flat end of last year, and then after the holidays and getting into here, we've really started taking it down. And then, like I said, it's not on this graph, but the next month, March and then April, really went down, and we were able to get that really good. It's not where we wanted it yet, but I don't think it ever will be. We're always trying to get better, so we're always learning.
And is this? Yeah, I know the feeling, Blake. And is this because, like, using MachineMetrics, you were able to measure those setup times? So you guys were essentially finally had like a baseline to start improvement around?
Yeah, so that's the other great part about with MachineMetrics is MachineMetrics always knows what's going on at the work center. It always knows. So it's just so easy to figure out what the problem is and come up with a solution for it. And those solutions a lot of times are coming from those team members that are working at the machines. They're telling us exactly what's causing it, and then they're also offering solutions on how they think that how we can help to fix the problem.
Got it. That's really cool. And I don't mean to skip ahead, but like I couldn't help it. I was just looking at some of this data because there's so much here. Like, tell me a bit about like what does this mean for your machine utilization? Like, so obviously if you're able to reduce setup, I mean you've got more capacity, right? So what does that mean for you guys and your team?
So then on our machine utilization, it's kind of funny, really. If you talk to anybody, or at least all the people I've talked to that have MachineMetrics, when they get that first report on MachineMetrics of their especially their machine utilization, it's really sickening. and I mean, I laugh about it now. You just don't realize how much extra capacity you really have. So, right now, well, this was in February, but you can see 21% of time in cycle for machines with edge device, 24% of time in cycle for machines that have a tablet out front. So when we first started on MachineMetrics, this number was more like 12%. And that maybe doesn't seem like a lot, but we've doubled that utilization, and believe it or not, now it's actually gone higher than that as well. But it is eye-opening when you see that data and you see how much potential there is there.
It's really interesting, Blake. And just so you know, like it's a great comment that you made, because I think most people that when we work with do not actually know what their current machine utilization is.
What's their response if you ask them what their machine utilization is currently?
Most people,
what do you think?
Well, I can tell you it's a good one, because the actually Modern Machine Shop does this like survey every year, right? And they, self-reportedly, right, your average machine manufacturer believes they're using their machines between 60 and 70%. And yep. I would take it doesn't take much to make a bet to decide how confident you are that's not the case, right? And in reality, when we work with customers, we find that utilization, when we start, is much closer to where you guys were today. And the reason why that's the case is for literally hundreds of different reasons, right? It's, and what I think is really cool about your analysis here, for example, is you said earlier that, and I think I see some comments coming out of this too, that, people want to know, how easy is it to actually realize the benefits, right? And I think that you need to be able to use MachineMetrics is not a silver bullet for any company, right? I'm not here trying to, show that today, right? But it fits within a continuous improvement strategy, which is to start identifying what those different, levers are, and then decide which one creates the most value. And this slide, I just thought was amazing, because, in this analysis that you've been providing, you're showing us essentially, first of all, that you had a 50% improvement in these, the output from your, your first, I believe it was first 30 minutes of your production. I think it was just starts. And what was crazy was when you look at that at 5 starts per week, and, you're looking at gaining 6,900 hours of production a year on this one thing. To me, that was just incredible.
Yeah, and something else we do with the utilization reports is every week, actually, we do it. So it tells you who the #1 team member was, who had the highest utilization as far as team members goes. And then from there, we actually go out and talk to that team member who had the highest utilization and try to learn exactly what they're doing to get there. How, what's their path to the success that they're seeing. And then from there, we go out and then we coach the rest of the team on how they're able to do this and share that information. Because that's not an easy thing to figure out how to do.
No. And I love that you guys, just for example, I'm just showing this one, you guys do a great job of showing, what your top reasons for downtime are. And this one in particular, I really enjoyed, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to just kind of explain, I love that you have like an eye catcher, right? And everybody has these eye-opening moments when they use MachineMetrics, like, wow, like that thing, we had no idea. It was like, would you be willing to speak to what you saw when you were looking at the data here?
Yeah, so what's kind of funny about this slide is it says, eye catcher cleanup. So you think, whatever, maybe are they cleaning too much or something or whatever. Well, what came out of this was that we realized that we didn't have a standard procedure as far as cleanup goes. And what I mean by that is we didn't have a standard procedure depending on what work center they were at. And so it was based off more of what each person individually feels is the correct amount of cleanup. And in some machines, it might be too little. Some machines might be too much. But, there was no standard to follow. So from there, we were able to develop the standard of what cleanup is required at each machine and when it needs to be done. So then from there, we're able to set up a procedure. It's easier for each team member to follow it because they know what's expected. And then even on the downtime categories, the cleanup was on there. It's going to pick up the different reasons for the downtimes, and not every reason might be important to you, but you're at least going to be able to recognize it. Like you have break time as being, it's a big downtime reason. Well, you got to have break. That's okay. But it at least recognizes all of those different issues, and then we even have some on there, waiting for fork truck. So that might tell us, either, do you need more fork truck operators, or do you need to change the route of a fork truck? Just those different things, but it makes you start asking questions and looking into everything that you didn't quite look into before.
Very cool. And we've gotten a lot of questions from the audience, so I want to make sure to get to those. But just if you could say to us, as a last kind of step here, where do you see this going for you today, right? One thing that I've really been impressed with you guys that, this isn't just like an initial value. I mean, you guys have been working with us for years now, and you continue to, I love this list of just like, hey, these are even more action items that we're just going to be focusing on today. Like, what's next for you in MachineMetrics, and what's next on your continuous improvement initiatives?
Well, the first step was adding more machines on MachineMetrics, which obviously, we did that. So that was the first thing, so we can continue to learn more. And then you can see these action items. So these action items were developed back in January, I think is when it was, or February. But the cold starts has been a huge initiative. We had no idea how much we were actually losing the first and last half hour of every shift that we run. And all that was we just put together a better plan so that everybody who came in for their shift knew exactly where to go, exactly what they were doing. And so there was no questions to be asked. There was no figuring out where they were supposed to be going, or what needed to be done. It was all planned. And then, like the setup times, we set up what we called a pit crew. So we developed a team who's very good at doing these different setups, and then they have a schedule every day for the entire plant of what's going to be set up roughly when. And so they know exactly what's coming up, so they get everything that they need prepared, and they just go in there, knock the setup out, leave, and it starts running. So then that reduces all those times. And there again, MachineMetrics was able to show us that we needed to do all these things, and now it's again showing us even more things that we need to do. It's never ending.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. And we see the future of supply chain visibility, right? Where there's, everyone's got to have that data on hand all the time, right? To be able to drive these continuous improvement. And anybody who, practices, Six Sigma or, Lean or continuous improvement recognize that this is a never ending task to continue to improve. And there's infinite different ways to improve your business. And Blake, you guys have been super impressive in achieving some of those gains quickly, but also, continue to identify those using the platform. And, I'm really appreciate you, driving through some of these. So I know we got some questions. I'm going to turn it over to Alan to allow him to kind of moderate some questions, and hopefully we'll get through as many as we can.
Well, thank you, Graham. Great presentation. We enjoyed it. And we do have several questions. I should point out a quick answer to a couple of the questions. Yes, you can access the presentation afterward by logging back in at the same login you registered at. So that's a quick answer. All right, our first question is, the question that I always get asked by executive leadership is how to justify the cost of a successful implementation. What specific data am I going to get that is going to allow me to improve machine availability or reduce unplanned downtime? And are there specific end use cases that can be provided? That's a good question.
Yeah, good question. Blake just gave you an answer, just to be completely honest, right? I mean, just in that presentation, right? There are literally hundreds of reasons why machines, are not running or you're not at capacity, right? Blake just showed in that example, right, that they uncovered additional 7,000 hours of runtime just from optimizing their cold starts, from the first, half hour of the day, right? So, you can take that number, right, and identify what your cost per hour is of running your machine, and it's very easy to identify how much value is in that one of hundreds of different use cases for the platform. Blake, I don't know if you want to answer that one also directly, if you had any other thoughts around it, but.
No, I think you really pointed out the big thing there. So to me, that 6,900 hours you're talking about, that was only from the 25 work centers. So, we're up to 78 work centers now that are on MachineMetrics. So you can imagine the type of improvement that will be as well, from 25 to 78. So for us and for our leadership team, going from the first 25 to 78, that was an extremely easy decision for them.
And one other note that I'll say is a story that I tell often because it happens all the time is we were working with a manufacturer in the Midwest who was on the precipice of buying 10 additional pieces of equipment because they believed they were capacity constrained, right? So before they did so, they installed MachineMetrics as part of their continuous improvement initiatives, and within about 24 hours, they identified that those machines were running about 15 to 20%, right? So of their utilization. So within 24 to 48 hours, they canceled a $10 million capex order for these new machines because they didn't need them. Right. And so the ROI can be as simple as not buying machines that you don't need. It could be as easy as identifying cold starts. It could be reducing unplanned downtime by, transforming your maintenance from, leveraging a calendar to driving it through, alarms or conditions. There's so many different ways that you can do that. And part of our process that we work with our customers is that in the initial phases of implementation, we work very closely to identify where those value levers are with the customer and then walk them through how to achieve those value points. Because for us, we won't retain them as a customer if they don't achieve value. So it's not like kind of selling you a car and walking away. Like, we need to win your business every year. So we're very focused on ensuring that our customers create value, and we have a process built around that to help our customers try to achieve that.
All right, great. Our next question is, you mentioned security. Can you provide more detail on how data is protected, particularly if you have multiple people logging in from remote locations?
Yes. Wow. I could talk about this for a whole nother webinar. We're lucky that Joe is also here from AWS. But when it comes down to security, I'll just start with the simple fact that our backbone of our security, security is in literally everything that we do at MachineMetrics, from collecting the data to housing that data, to enabling the secure data transfer from operators all the way through the platform. Because we leverage the backbone of AWS, we can provide that multi-billions dollars worth of infrastructure and AWS security to our customers at a significantly lower cost. And we also have highly unique operator login that allows us to maintain the security protocols that are required for all sorts of various compliances. And if you want to dive any deeper into that at any point from the security standpoint, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Graham at MachineMetrics.com. I know we have a lot of questions, and I could answer that one for an hour.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Graham. Our next question is, how would downtime reasons be used for a job shop setting where your setup and runtime are one and the same?
Good question. I guess the downtime reasons would be used, so you can segregate and segment your downtime by planned, unplanned, by shift, by cell, by operator. by machine. So I think you identify whether or not your machine is in cycle through the control, right? So we'll know when the spindle is actually not just the machine is on, but the machine is actually running, and the operator will tell us when the machine is in setup through the tablet interface, and that allows us to provide additional context to the data from the machine so we can delineate between those various types of downtime.
I think I'll add to that, Graham, too. So on that, with the setups and the runtime, so setup, I guess, you can categorize it however you want to do it, but like for us, for example, for setups, you have a standard time that's allotted for a setup. And if it's within that, it goes back to what Graham said, which is a planned downtime. But if you exceed past that standard setup time, then it becomes an unplanned downtime. So then if it's an unplanned downtime, you know that you need to look into figuring out why did that happen, what caused it, and what can we do to fix it.
I appreciate it. You're right, Blake. You're such a pro of the system. You're absolutely right, and that's a great point. Those standards you can test within the system. Great point.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Our next question is: do you get involved in barcoding and serialization for traceability and part tracking?
Great question. We do have customers that have integrated their own barcode scanning into the system. One of the beauties of our platform, it's highly extensible. And what I mean by that is that you can connect virtually any system that you want to MachineMetrics in a number of ways. And I do urge whoever asked that question, because I think it's a great one, to reach out to our team and they can get really specific examples of how some of our customers have leveraged certain scanning of various items in the factory to integrate data across systems.
All right, great. Let's see. Looking through here. This is could be a long answer to this one. What will come across after artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, deep learning? Do you have a guess?
Whew, that's a big question. I think we're not even close to scratching the surface here on AI and machine learning. I think most manufacturers that come to us saying, hey, we need highly predictive AI and machine learning and data science and deep learning, many of those customers don't even know whether or not their machines are running at all, right? And we can provide super sophisticated capabilities on the data science front as well for customers that are extremely advanced. But I think every company is on their journey. We view like the endpoint of these factories similar to how Tesla views the car, right? Tesla's not a car like a car building company; they're a software company, right? And they view the car as a vessel for the self-driving vehicle, right? And we see the future of the factory to be very similar, leveraging AI and machine learning and data science to essentially drive autonomous factories, right? And there are many different components of that autonomous behavior. So in order to achieve that, we'll take a very long time of integration between all these different systems to achieve that, and everybody's kind of along their journey in that capacity. So I think you'll start seeing more applications of it as companies mature. And I don't know if Joe, I noticed you turned your camera on. Wasn't sure if you want to talk to that directly or not.
Yeah, no, I think great question, and Graham, I think you summed it up well, right? I think while we've been talking about data for a number of years and automation and control and manufacturing for a number of years, I think especially in terms of how we're applying machine learning in the factory, we're still relatively early innings, right, in terms of how we can do that. And a big piece of that, too, is not only integrating the data to a point that it's in a single spot where we can really leverage machine learning at scale, but some of the comments that Graham had made also earlier around how do we automate on the other end now, right, where I have an insight and I automate that back into my system of transactions such that it really starts to now reduce the change management burden of leveraging machine learning capability in our processes or in our workflows in the plant. So, I view AI ML as something that we're going to be working on for some time. I think it's in some ways the next iteration of a Lean Six Sigma type journey, right? Of now, how do you use big data to do that in new ways? I think in the same way that you have a lot of process engineers that learn lean processes or got their Six Sigma green belt, for example, you're going to start seeing process and baseline understanding of machine learning and data science. And I think as we do that, then you're going to see this next wave or next iteration of just capabilities that will build off of that, and we'll be building off these additional integrations and automation that you can drive in the facility.
All right. Well, great. I think we're just about out of time, so we'll wrap it up with that question. And wanted to thank Graham and Blake for their great presentation. And just remind our listeners that any questions that come in after this point or questions that we didn't get to will be passed along to the presenters. And you can expect a reply by email. And the entire webinar, as I mentioned, will be available for replay by 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can access it by using the same sign-in link that you used earlier. So thanks once again, Graham and Blake, and thank you to our listeners for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this SME Media and AWS Partner Success Series webinar. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.